Hello folks, welcome back to Let's Play Starflight 2 on the Mysterious JG. I was just checking my communications with the Humna Humna because I sometimes get confused as to what's happened when I played around off-screen at, like at the airport, for example. I didn't just mine, I also played around a little bit with more fun stuff I didn't record and didn't save. And what's happened in the LP. And it's weird, but we haven't encountered the Spemen in space yet. You can encounter the Spemen in space. This is generally not a desirable thing, but there is one useful piece of information to be obtained that way. You'll remember Gorzak told us a most likely source of information on the location of the most valuable thing, the Tandaluvian artifact, which is at the heart of the Civil War. The most likely source of info is the Spemen, and the second most likely is the Humna Humna. Well, I always thought it was kind of a joke that he told you the Spemen obviously know where it is because they stole it, but they're not going to tell you, so that you have to try to get the information out of the Humna Humna. Well, playing around off-screen, you actually can find out directly from the Spemen, but so far we've had no contact with the Spemen, and the last time we talked to the Humna Humna, this didn't come up. But at any rate, our plan for this video, because I'm trying to think of what we're going to do once we've got enough cash in our coffers that we can take a break from being purely mercantile and start moving towards winning this game. And in fact, the next thing we really need to do is to locate the most valuable thing, because Gorzak is going to be a huge font of information. But we haven't actually talked to all the aliens yet, so it's not like there aren't things that we could also be doing other than talking to Gorzak to try to kick the plot loose. So, potentially, to your surprise, I'm actually going to use that flux, but I'm not going to try to use any flux beyond that first one. And we're going to make our way to the TLV, the purveyors of Livelong, and the only known purchasers of Tandaluvian Happy Juice. 123.94. Now, once we finish this trade route run, we will have to figure out what to do. If we haven't come across, if during that little stretch of gaming, we haven't come across any more useful information on the most valuable thing, I either need to make a concerted effort to get the answers out of the Humna Humna. I could go to Bemfblunk, which is the Spemen world, and try to encounter the Spemen and see if I can get information from them. We could just go to Bemfblunk and just start searching. Or, once we've got some Class 5 weapons, it might be time to engage in a little space piracy of our own. 122.94. There's at least 2, possibly 3, because in one case I didn't scan them. They started shooting pew-pews and I ran. But I'm not even 100% positive if we've run into 2 or 3 species who went pew-pew crazy on us. And once we've got Class 5 stuff, it might be time to start fighting back. Now, I can tell you from previous plays, that species that I encountered in the Cloud Nebula, where I went all panicky as soon as I saw their ship layout and I recognized it, Class 5 weapons and armaments are not really going to be enough to put us on an even keel with them. Now, Seymour Guado and Nobunaga Oda are feeling very strange. Nobunaga has become attracted to girls. Sorry. What was I saying? Yeah, I mean, the space combat in this game isn't that complicated, and I might be able to just dodge their shots and win, even though we're horribly overmatched, but... oh boy. We're not that far into the cloud. This might not be them. It isn't. It's the Humna Humna. Humna Humna are probably up here trying to buy Livelong. Oh, the livelong day. We come in peace and bring greetings from the planet Arth. Please respond. And I hope they understand why we would back off a bit from a big group of unidentified ships in the Cloud Nebula. This is I Commander Shipmaster Ambassador Tzitzit. In accordance with the convention etiquette of Intergalactic Interspecies Relations Protocol, I hereby and herewith respond with the utmost propriety and decorum to your hail greeting message. It might be suggested as further demonstration of goodwill on your part, say 18 units of Shinia might considerably facilitate discussions. I'll give it to them. I'm trying to think, should I just let them talk, because they might offer me a trade map? Or should I ask them questions? I do want to find out. Certainly I hope you do not take offense or even umbrage at my asking this question, which I will ask, but however, I wonder if you happen perhaps to have any endurium fuel substance on board your ship vessel at this current time. We don't. I'm not sure why they'd be asking. There's a ban on this stuff. We don't know if the Humna Humna are like endurium traders. See if we can find out about the Humna Humna. I mean the Spemen. The Spemen creatures, whom we ourselves do not particularly like, appeared in this region about 44,000 of your hours ago, which is to say 5 years. At first, in the beginning, they seemed harmless. Then, suddenly, all of a sudden, they seemed to have a powerful new technology which they did not have before this. Might be suggested as further... Okay, he wants more shinium. Okay. They've lowered their shields. The new technology of the Spemen blob creatures, whom we do not particularly like, strongly resembles and seems to look like legend stories of the technology of an ancient race that is very old and used to inhabit this region area. This race is called Legic. There's a place location in the stellar star system which is located in the approximate location of 158-183. The planet world is called by the Spemen its name, which is Bemfblunk. And near the center of the large equatorial island is an ancient Legic temple which the Spemen worship at. Near the center of a large equatorial island. Okay. The Duino beings creature a race that live in the area okay. Upspin outward section of this space region. They are depressing to talk to by virtue of being depressing. Also, in addition, they are the oldest race in the region area. Would you be interested in purchasing the cross-cloud route for 19,000 shinium pennies? Hell yes, we would be. I stop asking questions. If he's selling trade route maps, I'm just going to listen. Because I think that clue about Bemflunk is all we're going to get as far as the location out of the Humna Humna. Please allow me to proffer a piece of advice, Counsel, which you yourself may or may not wish to accept, though I suggest you do, since it is my advice. I suggest that unless you inquire a powerful, potent technology, such as, for example, if I may say so, that of the Spemen, I would certainly refrain from and avoid travel in the Big Cloud Nebula. His eyes are kind of, one's looking up and one's looking down. It's a little weird. Obviously, they're very far apart, but... As for ourselves, I must say we Humna Humna are not, as a general rule, impressed by obsequious kowtowing, which is unbecoming to a civilized race, I might point out. A friendly attitude is undoubtedly the most appropriate of attitudes in most circumstances, needless to say. And in this game, I can't remember anyone who responds well to obsequiousness. It's what you need to use... Would you be interested in purchasing the Circle route map for 18,000 shinium pennies? Yes. We Humna Humna ourselves happen to know, it so happens, quite a bit about the past, I might add. This information data might possibly potentially be of some use to you yourselves. You should just happen coincidentally to be interested in things such as the Loa Legic, for example. And I do need to talk to these guys about the past and get what information I can, but for right now, he seems to be willing to sell me trade route maps, so I'm just kind of, I'm into that. That looks like this is, oh. That was most impressive. I would like to take opportunity to express my heartfelt sentiments, although I do not have a heart, which is besides the point. Oh, I didn't read the early part of that. It's too bad. He was being... I thought he was cutting off communications, but he was actually just saying something nice. Well, Commander Person Seymour Guado, I'm sorry to say... Yeah, this is what I thought he was saying before. Okay, well, dude, just check this out. Once we get out of this encounter... you will see our map looks a little different. Well, you should see that our map looks different. I thought our map was going to look different. I thought it put the trade route stuff directly on your map. Did I not have the, Yeah, I had enough shinium pennies to buy the stuff he was selling. And I thought I said yes. Oh, F7. Oh, I'm not going to jettison the live long. Jeez. You don't just pull up the regular star map. You, function F7. Come on. Okay, well suddenly these star maps don't seem to want to work. Now I've encountered... Is this more Humna Humna? No. That is not more Humna Humna. That is get the fuck out now. And I think now the Humna Humna might understand why I wasn't just going to hang around and wait on them before. Function F7. I don't understand. My trade route maps aren't working. F7? Alright, hey folks, welcome back to Let's Play. That was me playing a video of my own or something. Maybe you have to be on the star map and then if you press function F7? Yes, okay, if you're on the star map itself, this will come up. So, the circle route means you go to the Arlo and buy MIPFR, which you then, because that's marked as 1, then you go to the NatTrack, sell them MIPFR, and buy important secrets. Then apparently you go to the Humna Humna up here somewhere and buy data crystals. These maps make more sense in the hint book than they do here. Then you go to visit the Kerr, who are here, and you sell them data crystals and buy dream grids, and then you sell those to either the NatTrack or the Aurelio, I guess. But if you want to make a circle out of it... Oh, either way is a circle. You can cut out the Aurelio. So that's an interesting little... Meanwhile, where's the cross cloud route? Or do I have to press F7 again? That brings up the cross cloud route. You come all the way down to the downspin section of the galaxy, visit an alien species called the Nelsons, and buy charm babies. You buy amuso balls from the Jaboon. I'm sure that there's a flux you're supposed to be taking and not going directly through the heart of the nebula here. But you buy neutropods. You sell that to the Dweenal and you buy neutropods. Then you go to the Humna Humna world that we found over here and buy data crystals. And they did mention that there's fluxes across the cloud. And you either come over to the Arlo and sell data crystals, or you sell them to the Narg. Data crystals seem to be a part of a couple of these trade routes. Anyway, okay, so we bought some trade route maps from the Humna Humna. We may not ever even get around to doing those trade routes, though, because we've already, just from this trade route we found for ourselves with the TLV, we've already made quite a bit of money. And we just confirmed that this is the planet that I think it is. Yeah. And remember, we decided we have to sell the Tandiluvian Happy Juice for more than 95% of its value, or it's really a waste of time. We just got the message to tell us that Nobunaga and Seymour are exhibiting signs of schizophrenia. Schizophrenia, like poopies. As some people pointed out. Here's a TOV. He wants to play the buy-sell game. And, okay, they want to pay us almost twice what the stuff's worth, so we're not too worried now about the whole... Agreed. I was freaked out that we weren't going to... Oh, well, we sold all of it. Okay. Did we find... I think we found where to sell singing beetles, didn't we? I think we did. Well, for right now, let's stick with Livelong. And these guys don't barter, so we'll have to sell the Livelong for more than 113. Or maybe I should be buying singing beetles. Oh, I can try to counter, but I don't think that'll do any good. So we need to probably buy as much of this as we can carry. Much of that as we can afford. Let's get away from this, whatever it is, before it kills us. And off we go into the wild blue yonder. Now, we know approximately where on planet Bemf-Blunk some cool alien stuff is. Or rather, where there's a Legic temple. So maybe we're supposed to, at this point, go look for the Legic temple. I was hoping to find out where the most valuable thing is. Bemf-Blunk was up here somewhere. So maybe what we need to do is go sell the livelong first. Oh, come on. 93.37. Be really nice to find a flux there. Nobunaga and Seymour feeling better. I keep naming Nobunaga first. Poor Seymour. He's the captain. I totally blanked on these coordinates already. .9337. So we got a ways to travel. I'm kind of hoping, odd as this sounds, that we run into the Spemen. Because the Spemen, I shouldn't be giving away that I know this, but from previous play, I know that the Spemen, they are space pirates, and when they encounter you... Oh, crap. Not paying attention. And here's an encounter, which may or... Who knows who these guys are going to turn out to be. Maybe they'll be Spemen. I was just talking about why I kind of want to meet them. They're not Spemen. Who are these guys? Yourselves identify, curiosity, non-offensive manner. Unfamiliar to us your vessel is, and ascertain your intentions we must, wariness. Arla of the Negro Arla we are. If peaceful you are, then peaceful also we are. Making them talk like the guys from who have their emotions spelled out for you in Mass Effect, but I really don't know how to make these guys talk. Hello, we come in peace and planet. Wow! It's like fiery explosions of doom behind these dudes. Wise or perhaps simply fortunate it was that encountered us during our Arla phase you did. Us as Nug, please avoid. Most sorry we would be if learned later we did that destroyed you we had. What? We greatly appreciate some information. Is there anything you can tell us about yourselves? Already encountered the Cur or the Nurg, perhaps you have. Mild anxiety. The other two forms of our kind they are. Mistake them for us, please do not. Emphatic concern. Our life cycle quite strange, most other races find. We amusement. Quite natural, of course, to us it seems. I haven't really put any thought in how to make these guys talk. 6 large moons orbiting our planet there are. Pride. A great effect on the orbital path of our planet these moons have. A dramatic 3-phase wobble in its orbit, the net effect is. Differ dramatically from one phase to the next planetary conditions do. Due to the wobble this is, and to the fact that in one phase completely obscured by the moons our sun is. So you don't get to see your boy that often. What about your daughter? Pooh. To our 3-phase environment, different approaches to adapting life forms native to our planet have taken to match the phases of the planet. A life cycle with 3 phases our species has evolved. Into the next form every 10 days our species metamorphoses. Of the 3 forms, the Nig first is, followed by the Cur they are, and us, the Arla, then. The three genders of our species our three forms are. To the exchange of genetic materials for reproduction, each contributes in its own fashion. Encounter each other normally, we never do. Relief. The day of the single exception to this is, when into a random form each individual metamorphoses and reproductive activity ensues. This is excitement. He's got pawn far. Extremely aggressive the Nerg gender of our species is. Already noticed this you may have. Embarrassment. A very harsh one, the phase of our planet which the Nerg naturally occupy is. Active during this phase, many vicious creatures that remain dormant during the other phases are. Owe the Nerg a great deal we do. Gratitude. Never have survived without them we would. Our internal fluids during the Nerg phase replaced become what we call the fighting humor with. A thick, highly charged, glowing fluid it is. Inhibits rational thinking it does. And each of us glowing spiked spheres containing immense energies it causes to become. At random intervals, blinding flashes of energy we discharge. Most other life forms this incinerates. An effective defense this is. Amusement. It's like the Jeffo up. Hey, they've lowered their shields. Strange even to us occur are. Evolved they have to occupy the phase of our planet when obscured by the moons our sun is. The time of darkness is insanity this is. Apprehension. Of what during this phase the planet is like, little do we know. Mystery. The Kerr's belief is that nothing in the universe exists but that which is in the minds of we the Arla is. That everything, including themselves, a figment of our imagination is. Believe they do. Most flattered by this attitude we are. Condescension. Somewhat difficult to deal with this makes them, by other races we have been told. Understatement. Believe that nothing exists since the Kerr do. It seems that inappropriate they find it to refer to anything directly, thus, in generalities they speak. Also, never address anyone directly, they will. Since believe there is anyone to address, they do not. Mild embarrassment. Yoda grammar. This is kind of weird. Not to address the Kerr directly, our advice is, apart from hailing them perhaps. Generally become quite agitated, they will. Consider it very presumptuous and rude for something that does not exist to address them they do. To explain this further, do not ask us. Embarrassment. And what he's driving at is that, well, I guess I'll explain it when we're not talking to them anymore, because I want to keep this moving. Go now we must, Seymour Guado, our regrets, disappointment. Meet again for further discussions, I am sure we will. A friend to the Arlo you are. Happiness. Not many there are. Explore well and much learn. Communications have been terminated. So that's a warship, but it's 0.1 times the size of our ship. Interesting. So that was the Arla phase of a race called the Nerg Arla. Now, I did not mean to run into them, but I think at least I was saying earlier. Whoa, jumped right back into that thing, didn't I? I was saying earlier that we ran into a race that shot pew-pews at us that may not have been this. Like, I knew of two separate races that have shot pew-pews. I was thinking we might have run into them previously when we were in this area. And now you'll recall he said that they have three different genders that exist at different times of year. They're like, this is not a totally new idea. As a matter of fact, Doctor Who, like back in the John Pertwee era Doctor Who, the first Doctor to be in color. Although not the first colored Doctor. They haven't had one of those yet, although I tend to think it's only a matter of time. But no, they had a Doctor Who serial once, Crunchy and Delicious. No, it's a serialized story where the John Pertwee Doctor encountered this. They were like these non-human things, but they were also human, and it turns out it's all the same species at different stages, and did something similar to that with Starfall, or whatever the one that had like the Marshman. Anyway, the point was that yeah, Doctor Who's done stories like this on more than one occasion, so it's not totally a new idea. But the idea that they have like a metamorphic cycle where there's sort of different things, but they're all actually the same species. And in the case of the Arla, they actually are at different times of their year, or maybe it's supposed to be a month. I don't remember if it's month or yearly cycles, but gender-linked. Reproductive cycles do tend to flow along monthly lines. At least humans think that way because one of ours does. But what am I getting at here? Yes, there's actually 3 different species. Well, not species. There's 3 different genders, all one species. He already explained they reproduce one day a month, which is very exciting for all of them. And but in fact, there's like an ultra-aggressive species that exists during a time where their planet is an extremely hostile environment. They attack on sight. You can never talk to them. There's also the one that he mentioned, kind of weird. They don't believe that anything really exists. So, and the advice he gave us, and I guess the Humna Humna will also tell you this if you ask them enough. But the advice he gives you is the best way to deal with them, which is that if you encounter those guys, you just have to not talk to them. You won't get into a fight if you just remain silent. Apparently you're allowed to hail them. I didn't realize that. He just suggested we can hail them. But beyond that, you can't talk to them. And then the Arla form are basically the guys we just met. And it's quite lucky that we bumped into them first. I think we bumped into the Neg first once, and I didn't even know it was them. They started firing pew-pews, and I ran. I wasn't sure if it was the Umanyu, or I might as well just tell you, because I think the name's been mentioned. The other guys who keep attacking us on sight that we haven't been able to speak to are the Gnuck. So yes, all those guys are hanging around, potentially hostile, and I think at this point we have evaded missile blasts from all 3 of those species. The Negker Arlo are the last spacefaring species that we encountered, and they generally are. They're the farthest away from where you start, except for the Dweenal. The Dweenal are actually pretty far away from where you start, but it's a straight shot to get to them, and there's no hostile aliens between you and where they are. The Negker Arla are actually, I think, a little bit closer, but they're on the other side of the cloud. You have to fly through Nuck space to get to them. It's a bit more dangerous of a route. We've now met everybody, except the Arla. We have not actually had a conversation with the Arla. You can actually communicate with the Arla. You just have to not say anything, and they will talk and can actually give you useful information. So now we're actually quite close to Bemfblunk, and we do have a clue from the Humna Humna as someplace to look. So I'm playing a dangerous game here because we had some good events in this video that I wouldn't want to lose, but I kind of feel like going into playing back our conversation with Gorzak and finding out where Bemfblunk is, because we're pretty close to it. System coordinates 150. Okay, it's planet 2 of 158, 183. And now we've just encountered more aliens. These may be Arla, they might not. There's a lot of overlapping space in this game. That's the Arla again. So assuming there's still Arla, and in the last like 1 day they didn't switch over to another species, we can probably talk to them. But the Negker Arla, all 3 groups have the same spaceship design. They use the same spaceships, so you can't tell who they are till you talk to them. Yes, Commander Creature Seymour Guado. Received and understood your transmission we have. You have names in the same sense as you do, we do not. But refer to me as Fade, you may. Extend the greetings of my gender of the species I do. Hopefulness. Well, I guess we'll get them to finish telling them about themselves. But yeah, these guys are quite quick to befriend you, the Arla are. And it looks like he's repeating himself here. But basically he told us about the other 2 species, so let's ask him about something else. Other beings. We greatly appreciate some information on how to seduce Yuna. Know a great deal about other sentient races we do not. Embarrassment. See, I haven't come up with a voice for these guys. Understand us, they do not, and so tend to stay away from us, they do. Regret. Have regular trade dealings with the Humna Humna in both our current phase and our Kerr phase, we do, however. Oh, and that's the other thing. They sell different stuff depending. These guys are actually kind of a pain in the ass. The whole timing thing with them makes it difficult to just conduct regular business. Little traveling outside of our local region we Arla tend to do. Regret. No wish to be caught within the domain of another species. When we change to Neg we have. Do a great deal for friendly relations. This would not. Understatement. Because the Neg attack everyone on sight. It's an interesting conundrum that the Arla have. Encountered a species of creature called Dweenal a few times we have. Told by the Humna Humna we have been that a very old race the Dweenal are, and know quite a bit they do. Skepticism. Also that very insecure they are. They told us the Humna Humna have that often proved to the Dweenal that they like them they have had to before the Dweenal would any information offer. So we have to convince the Dweenal you like them, which is difficult because they're really insecure. Found that when dealing with the Humna Humna they respond best to a friendly posture we have. Told by them we have been that a group of species there is in a nearby region who a hostile posture at all times actually prefers. Find this difficult to believe we do. Skepticism. Think about that one, folks. There's someone out there who we need to be hostile to. Reported encountering a Dweenal ship on the other side, one of our ships that went through the wormhole and returned did. Be able to help you, they might, if through the wormhole you go and encounter trouble you do. Know a great deal about others, we do not. Okay. Ask them about the past. Do they look to the future and remember the past? Are they proof that the Negra Arla dream still lasts? Because of the hostile Nerg and the insane Kerr, many of the other sentient life forms despised us have. Frustration. Unable to comprehend they were that of the same species we are, but of the same mind we are not. With the low are not so. Understood us they did. The greatest of tragedies their destruction was. The sadness. Profound sadness. Here, from an outward direction, 800 years ago, the Loar with the Umanyu came. Part of some distant civilization they were. By encroaching hostile races, in danger of being destroyed it was. To live in peace they came here, and in the clouds settled because largely unoccupied it was. Interesting. Roughly equivalent in technological capabilities the Loar and Umanyu were. A gentler race of fewer numbers the Loar were. Much more quickly the Umanyu reproduced, and always a little more aggressive they were. Then, much more hostile they became, and a sudden leap forward their technology took. Maybe the Spemen are about to be overpowered by some crazy mind-controlled technology that will make them super hostile. In their studies of the ancient Legic, we often aided the Loar. In the end, their hope it was that the last technology of the Legic would from the hostilities of the Umanyu save them. Forlorn sadness. The Tandaloo hinted at this too. The Arla are giving us a little more detail. Go now we must, Seymour Guado, our regrets. It wouldn't necessarily be the worst idea in the world if I just hung around here and kept encountering them until they switched phase, because they never seem to be the phase you need to deal with. They always seem to be in whatever phase you're not prepared for. There's never any point in dealing with the Arla, of course, or the Neg, but sometimes you need to deal with the Kerr, and sometimes you need to deal with the Arla. But now that they're in the Arla form and they'll actually talk to us instead of attacking on sight, it really is tempting to just hang out and try to get as much out of these guys as we can. I am, however, I'm going to end the video. And I would tell you to send me your thoughts on whether we should spend another video hanging out with the Arla, having ourselves a party. But I'm not going to, because I'm going to record another video as soon as this one's done processing. Sorry, folks. Anyway, this is Mysterious JG. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.